Hi everyone, this is Jonathan from Leica's Mobile Mapping Support Group. In this video we're going to go over the processing tab of Cyclone Pegasus Office. We're going to process a little bit of TRK data here. So as you can see, I've got my Cyclone Pegasus Office open, and I have a project here as it comes off of the TRK. We'll take a look at this folder structure as well. This is how the data set would look. So in this folder, I've got this video test project folder mapped as my storage location in Pegasus Office, and I have the US 30 Summersdale clone project here, .pegasus project folder, inside of that folder. So because of that, Cyclone Pegasus Office sees that project here. It's the only project that's in here, and you can see in the project browser that it's showing up here for me in this list. If I double click on this, you can see kind of inside of the folder structure. I have one job in here. I have an export folder. Inside of this job folder, we have all of our individual scans for each track, and we have our LiDAR files. Inside these scan folders are the images, and then the trajectory files. Mostly you won't be really interacting too much with these folders, if at all any. The ones you'll be interacting with maybe would be this trajectory folder and perhaps the logs folder. But this is where your rover file from your GPS is going to be, and also your base station is going to be. So anyway, we've got that data, this project showing up here. While we're on the project import tab, I just do want to go over a couple things here as far as what we can do with the project. So if I click this project and highlight it, I can open it, and that's what we're going to do. But if we hit these buttons down here, we click on them, we have some more information that we can look at here. So we can view the details. We can see the project size. We can see what system it was collected with. In this case, it's a 700 Neo. When it was collected, and the units of the project. We can also change and remove the preview image and delete the project. Two that you'll probably use on this section would be restore raw dataset or clone raw dataset. So restore raw dataset will revert any changes that you've done on the optimization and linking and take it back to as if the data was raw. The one that I typically use the most, though, it's how I created this dataset from the original, was to use clone raw dataset, and that creates a copy of the original raw project off of the TRK system. So without further ado, we'll open this project up and get started. So during this import process, you'll see that the trajectory files are converted. Now the project that you saw before was kind of a finished product of this project. This is how it looks whenever it comes in initially as raw data. So you'll see the first thing that we see here is we see our base map. We see where this data is kind of in the world. And then we have the option at the top of the screen here. We can turn off the tracks if we don't want to see them, and turn off control points, which we don't have control points loaded in here yet for GCPs. The other thing we can see is all of our track data over here, and we can get started with our actual processing. Now in this case, I do have ground control points, and those are added over here on this left-hand side in this control point tab. So we can go to control points, and just to show you the format, we'll go back up to this level here. I have it as an Excel file, and we have the data format is listed with name, X, Y, Z, and then type. And type you can put manual or automatic here, and that determines how the system is going to determine the way it's going to look for these targets. So in this case we have automatic, so the system is going to automatically look for the chevrons. With a project of this size though, I might just change this to manual, so I can manually go through and pick the points, and that way we can see how that process works. So I'm just going to paste that over and change this to manual just for the sake of this project, and save that. So now you can see we're on this upload control points and browse and drop file. This is where we can actually just click this button here. We'll browse to our control points. Here, select those. and you'll see that it will ask me for a coordinate system as we upload these points. So it's processing them as we go. Click on here again. So you can see it's asking me for the coordinate system and the GCPs. In this case, in this project, we know that I know this is a New Jersey project. So if I just pull this drop down without anything typed in the search menu, it's going to show me all the coordinate systems I have loaded in Infinity. So what I like to do here is I'll type in, like, say, NJ for New Jersey, and we're going to grab New Jersey NAT 83 G18, and we know that this is going to be U.S. survey feet in this case. So once we have that, we'll click OK, and then it will bring in our control points. Now, in the case of control points, you might notice it takes a minute for them to load in, depending on how big the file is, and that is because Pegasus Office creates miniature high-resolution point clouds around each point cloud point, or each GCP, as it's being imported, that it can use later in the actual manual picking and automatic picking. So whenever this is done importing, we'll be right back. Okay. So I've got my GCPs imported, and you can see that each one of them is coming in with its name here, X coordinate, Y coordinate, Z coordinate, and then the type of point that it is. So we can zoom in and see where we have each individual one of our control points. I can select my individual tracks, select my individual control points. That being said, we've got all the data in here that we need. We've got our coordinate system set. So it looks like we're ready to go to our processing tab. So to process this actual data, we can select the job itself over here, and you'll see that we get our options to process the data show up here on the right. So the first thing that we would want to check would be the trajectory box over here. So this is actually what's going to post-process our trajectory. The options that we have available to us are trajectory calculation, which is going to do the post-process trajectory within CPO, or we can import trajectory. So if we import trajectory, this would be as, let's say, for example, we'd already created a trajectory file from Inertial Explorer and have a .cts, or if we use the RTK on board the TRK system and we have a .rtk trajectory. Those kind of bypass this step, providing it a trajectory already. In our case, we don't have a trajectory created yet, so we're going to check the box for trajectory calculation. And we can't just click the box for calculation and call it a day. We do need to go in here and actually adjust some of these settings. So when we click on these sliders to the right of trajectory, you can see that we have the type of job, which we set on import, and then we can add a reference station. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. It already detected it in the folder. But let's say that we didn't have a reference station already in here. We can click Add Reference Station. You can see it opens up our projects over here, right into the job folder. So where this is actually taking us is inside the Pegasus project, the job, the trajectory folder, and then the master folder. So in here, I've already downloaded this core station is what I did. So I've got this is the raw data as it came from core, is the 23.0 file. And this is the GPV file, which is created on the back end. Since I've already run this data through once, I have a GPV file, but in your case, if you just have the raw data, you can just select this O file and it will create the data for us. I'm going to select the GPV file since it's already made for me. So it imports that data. And then we can expand this station, and we can provide precise coordinates if we have them. So in this case, I'm not going to do that, but if you do have a coordinate data sheet for providing precise coordinates, you can do that here to further tighten up your base data solution. So we say done whenever we have that selected, and that configures this trajectory calculation. Now the other three options, you have the option to enable SLAM processing. So with the TRK systems, you have the SLAM sensors on the front and rear. You can enable that here, should you so choose. The cloud-to-cloud and auto control points options. There's a caveat that I'd like to mention with these two options. So if you check the box for cloud to cloud here, or automatic control points, it will apply the cloud to cloud optimization to the entire batch bundle. And whenever we get into the review and optimize tab, there's some things I'd like to go over there where that may not always be your best option. It might be better to apply cloud to cloud as you see fit in areas and apply GCPs in areas that we see fit. So the reason that I typically tell people not to use the cloud to cloud on this tab is only so you have greater levels of control in QA, because this will do it as a batch process, in which case you don't have a whole lot of input. You'll still be able to run cloud to cloud and control points on the review and optimize tab. It's just that you'll have a much greater deal of input and control over what it's going to do. That being said, in this scenario, let's say that you just needed mapping grade data as fast as possible. You could just check all these boxes and hit process, and then just accept the results when you're done to just have a quick process. But in our case, I'm going to leave all these unchecked except trajectory, and we'll just move on from there. So once I click the button for process, we're just going to do trajectory calculation. You'll see that we have processing in progress. This will take a little while to run through in the background. I have my settings set to best, so it's going to run those 10 different Inertial Explorer configurations in the background to produce the best result. So that'll be it for this video. Once this processing is finished, we'll come back and we'll work on the review and optimize. Thank you.